How much should this cost to repair? Oh wow. A lot of things come to my mind right now. I think maybe you could guess some of them. But before I tell you like how much I would charge for something like this, I'm a small drywall contractor, so drywall repairs are a large part of my business. I do them in between the bigger jobs. And how the drywall repairs work in my business as far as like quoting them is that people will send me photos of the repair, because all repairs are just a self-contained area, so it's an easy thing for a person to like take a picture of. And that's how I do it. It's virtual quotes for drywall repairs only, and I insist on that. So people will email me, text me a photo, and then I'll give them a quote. Or if I can't give them a quote, I'll at least give them like a ballpark figure, and then I'll come and then I'll give them the exact quote after. The reason that I have to do that is because I can't drive all the way across town, spend all that gas and vehicle expenses and all that, and then meet with somebody, and chit chat and all that, and go over and look at the repair and then give them the written quote and spend all that time, and then they don't accept it. And I don't feel that it's a problem with how much I'm charging for my drywall repairs. I just think that maybe some people are, homeowners and stuff, they just don't know what it takes to do a drywall repair like that. Because even a small drywall repair like this, I'll tell you what I would do. I would cut it out around here, and then, or at least down, find the nearest studs, and then I put a sheet of drywall in. I'd tape it with fiber fuse and hot mud. I'd put about 2 coats of hot mud, and then I'd top it with all-purpose mud, and then I would hang around with a heat gun until it's dry, sand it all out, and the all-purpose coat would just be a tight coat, and the hot mud doesn't shrink, so shrinkage isn't an issue. I've done so many of them, it all turns out great every single time, but I have to be there for a long time waiting for the hot mud coats to dry. I gotta be there with a heat gun for a long time. I don't want to make 2 trips out of it, because if I did do 2 trips, then the price would go even higher. It has to make the price low as I can. It has to be done in one shot in one day. But I would be at a job like that for 3/4 of the day. My tools would only be like, I'd actually be working on the repair for, the time that I'm actually working with the tools might only be an hour or so, but I start the morning by loading all my tools in the vehicle. I drive to the place, I have to, I chit chat with the customer and be sociable, and I set up drop cloths and dust barriers, and it's a lot of time doing all the prep work, and then there's the whole business overhead expenses too. I got to pay for a vehicle, a work vehicle. I got to pay for storage for all my tools and material, all the vehicle overhead expenses like the gas and the mileage and the wear and tear, and then I still got to make a day's income as well to be a contractor, and I have to put money into the business to grow the business. So like any contractor or business, that's all taken into account for the price. So even if it's a really small repair, like this is actually a small repair. I shouldn't even say 3/4 of a day. That would take 2/3 of a day at most. But what do I do with the other 1/3 of the day? Just go home? I have to charge for that full day, because otherwise I would have just stayed at my bigger job and not taken that day off to go run and do this repair. I would have just stayed in the big new construction jobs. But many homeowners, they just don't understand all that, and they just kind of expect something like that done for $100 or something like that, and that's just not realistic. Because I would actually charge $500 for something like this, because it's a full day. It's going to take the full day out of my schedule. So, and then there's material out of that as well. So I might only walk away with $400. That's why I would say that I do these small repairs only as fill in mostly, when otherwise I had nothing else to do. And more often than not, when I say $500 for a small repair like that, the homeowner, they treat me like I'm trying to rip them off. And then when I'm in there, when I drove to their house in person and I said, well, $500 for this, they just look at me like are you kidding me? And I'm like, well, no, that would be my price. And then that's it. It's a complete waste of time to price that job. So now all repair jobs, they're virtually quoted. That way, all I have to do is just look at a photo and email or text them back the price. And if they don't accept it, I wasted 5 minutes. And especially when I get photos where the house is very run down, I can tell, and it's a low income type house. The other concern that I have is, am I even going to get paid for the job? Because I've done a lot of repairs where, I'm finished, I'm ready to get paid now. And the homeowner is like, oh, I forgot my checkbook, or, they have all these excuses. And then I just know I'm not going to get paid ever. And that's happened so many times. Now this person says, they're asking how much this costs to repair. So, I know that they want to pay because they're asking how much it would cost to repair. So when I have a job, it doesn't matter how bad the job looks or how bad the house looks, or the neighborhood could be the worst neighborhood in the city. When they're asking how much it's going to cost, then I feel comfortable that I am going to get paid. Because sometimes I get jobs where people will say, can you do this? Can you repair this? They don't even ask for a price. And then it's just obvious they're not going to pay me if they're not even going to ask how much it's going to cost. So just a quick price breakdown on a job like that. Okay, so starting with $500, we got one bag of 30-minute hot mud, it's $50. Quarter box of all-purpose mud, $10. Half a sheet of drywall, $10. Miscellaneous tape, screws, polyethylene sheeting, $5. Material has gone up a huge amount, especially in just the last couple of years. It's almost doubled, I would say. So overhead, that's a big one, and a lot of people don't take that into account because for myself, it's a work vehicle, maintenance, fuel, shop, storage, tools, bookkeeping. It's $40 minimum just for me, and I'm just a one-man show. So when you got a big business and you got lots of employees and all that, it'll go way up. It could be several $100s a day they have to make every single day just to break even on your overhead costs. So after that, we have a net profit of $385 for the workday. And I would say that that's the minimum that any self-employed contractor should be aiming for to stay in business. Like, that's a whole topic for another video. So I'm saying $385 Canadian, which is roughly equal to $288 US dollars as of the date of this video. Now the next thing is you got to take out some money for income tax. In the past, I never did that. I just thought, hey, I'll just keep that money for myself. That just came back to bite me in years later, and that's a whole nother story for another day. That was years ago. Now I keep up with all my taxes, but you have to take off some. I'm just saying 30%. Could be more, it could be less. That needs to come off. So now we're down to $270. Here's the next big thing. You need to keep some money in the account to grow the business. Your business has to grow. If you're in business as a self-employed individual, the goal is to actually grow the business. You need to do that for yourself. It's almost like you're putting money away for retirement and stuff. So once you put 20% away out of that, now you're down to $216 or 161 US dollars in pocket out of a $500 job. Now, if you're like me, you have living expenses, you have groceries, you have family expenses, you have a wife and kids and stuff. You might need $100 a day just to pay for all that, just normal living expenses or more. And if you're like me, you do a $500 job and you walk away with the actual spending money is just a $10 bill in your hand, and that's all you have left. So anyway, that's kind of just my rant for the day. I apologize. And that's that.